Hello my people, Pacis here again from my studio. I'm here today to talk about another episode of Classical Music Talks. I'm talking about Schumann's Fantasie, Opus 17 in C major. So a lot of you, especially my Randy's audience, are not particularly educated about Schumann. They don't really know so much about Schumann. You might know about a bit about Beethoven. You might know a bit about Handel, especially. You might know a bit about Bach. But Schumann doesn't pop out. But he's definitely an interesting composer and an incredible one also. In terms of what he brings on the table and in terms of his imagination. So here I am to introduce you to him. Just to know Schumann correctly, as a musician especially, it's important to know his three sources of inspiration. First of all, his first source of inspiration, the most important source of his inspiration, is his wife Clara Schumann. Even before they were married, most of the inspiration she brought out into him was already impeccable, and she was an incredible influence also in terms of making Schumann popular after he was dead, because she was one of the greatest pianists of all time, especially during that time. So she was really an incredible musician. She was a composer in her own right. So an incredible woman, right? Especially in the time, in the period in which women were associated with stereotypical duties of being a home builder, something like that. And she could also still compose and also still practice. And Schumann really took a lot of inspiration from his love and from her incredible gift as a pianist. So that is number one. Number two, which has two parts exactly, is because the two personalities also that inspire Schumann are his alter egos. So an alter ego is especially in this imaginative world of arts. An alter ego is a personality double of yours. So somebody that you might relate to that does not exist but exists in an imaginary midst. And Schumann had two alter egos. He's very crazy and flashy alter ego, who is called Florestan, and another very calm and introspective alter ego called Eusebius. To just give you an idea a bit, here is what Florestan might sound like. So the energetic and crazy Schumann, and here is what Eusebius might sound like. So Schumann's alter egos are another source of inspiration, and it is interesting to see the role those three people play in this piece in particular, which is my favorite piece right now. I've been so obsessed with the Fantasie since a while. Since I started playing it, I've never got tired of it, and I can't really be thankful enough for such an incredible work. So what is it behind it that makes me so fascinated by it? Okay, let's dive into the music a bit. In this video, we're going to particularly talk about the first movement, which is an incredible masterpiece in itself, in its own right. So the work has three movements, kind of emulating a sonata. Yeah, because it has three movements, so it means three individual pieces. So today we're going to focus about the first movement, and the next episode we'll be talking about the second and the third movement, which are, each movement in itself is a huge world in itself, And that is also going to be fascinating to actually see how much the imaginatory scope of Schumann is, because for me he's synonymous with the most creative in terms of imagination composer. So that's his special gift. So let's dive in a bit quickly. Forgive me because I have a kind of a sore throat right now and my mouth is very dry. Let's start with the beginning. Already you already see so much passion in the beginning. So story behind this piece, especially the first movement, is that actually Schumann, who was a composer and who was also studying the piano with Clara Wieck, who's going to later become his wife, the woman he loves. Clara Wieck's father was the teacher of Schumann, and when Schumann actually professed his love to Clara, and their father, the father of Clara, who was actually so protective of his daughter, wanted to separate them, because Schumann was a peasant. He was at that time, even today, musicians don't really earn a lot of money, so enough to really survive and sustain a family. So his father, who was also considering Clara Wieck, or Clara Schumann later, to be one of his greatest assets, because she was a phenomenal pianist already at the age of 14 and 15 and 16. Around the time she fell in love with Robert Schumann. So he did not really agree with Schumann in particular on that side of things. So he separated them, and this movement is about Schumann really expressing how much he longs for Clara, and you cannot deny the passion that is in it. Let me just play again the beginning. So you see, it doesn't really stop. It's like fire that is burning. And the beginning of the movement, Schumann writes something. It kind of gives you the mood. In German, it's like durchaus fantastisch und leidenschaftlich vorzutragen. It means like throughout fantastic and really a bit played with a fabulous drive. It says a lot about the mood he wants to set. So he does not write allegro or something, but he writes so much about the notes. And it is also interesting to see how much Schumann speaks in a coded language with Clara Schumann. So the idea was that actually his father, the father of Clara, was a good was not okay with Schumann dating or courting Clara, but could give Schumann's music, recognizing Schumann's genius, to Clara for playing. So that was the best way for them to communicate. So they used some codes between them to actually know how they feel about each other. So this is an incredible testament of how maybe Schumann would be sending messages to Clara. And it is interesting to see also, even after they were married, they could still write to each other in the same diary. And they could write thoughts about each other in the same diary. And that is so beautiful. And oh wow, what a love story it is. I cannot wish for anything better than that. You know what? Yeah. So the coded language. It's important to know that, for instance, Schumann creates an interval that reminds him of Clara, and Clara knows that interval in particular, because it seems that actually Schumann, even in the introduction of this piece, when he was actually selling it, he wrote a very, very powerful introduction, which means like, resounding through all the notes in the earth's colorful dream, there sounds a faint, long, drawn note for the one that listens in secret. He's talking about Clara here. And that is interesting about this beginning. Already, let me just play the right hand. Already, this interval, La, Sol, Fa, Mi, Re, is the interval of Clara. He uses the interval of the fifth. The interval of the fifth, for those who don't know, is the distance from Sol to Do, from La to Re, Si to Mi. It's here, downward, going down. So, Clara, because La, Re, Clara. So, what he does is create a melody from the interval of Clara that reminds Clara, this is you. I'm talking about you. Again. So he just does a variation. And it's going to come throughout all the piece, right? And then also comes back. Again, Si, Mi, fifth again. So, and also he uses a quote from Beethoven's An die Ferne Geliebte, which means to the distance beloved. Which means like, it's clear Clara called, this is Clara, my distance beloved, right? So, it's a song from Beethoven's cycle An die Ferne Geliebte, and he uses those themes to create an incredible movement. I cannot describe it. I get goosebumps even when I'm playing it. It's not good for the pianist to really be carried away a bit, but I don't mind that. That is why I play the piano in the first place. So this is so beautiful to actually. Okay, let's keep playing. And now comes a bit of a very confusing but passionate passage. So, and also the song. And but plus it's 3. So let me keep going. Maybe Clara. When we get to the middle part, which is called Im Legendenton, which means like in a legend. It's like a legend. This is the music. So this shows how much Schumann is an incredible thinker in structure. So he's already creating basis, the foundation in which he's going to do. So let me keep playing. And so he's going to introduce as many things as going. Also comes something. Okay, let me keep going. That is the Im Legendenton melody. Change key. Let's revise a bit. Also again, an interval of Clara. Clara again. So it is interesting, and also this melody, I think that it Sir Anders Schiff, one of my favorite pianists and my idols. I would love to meet him someday and discuss so many things. That's my fantasy. So was pointing out that actually when he was talking about the introduction to this piece, again, resounding through all the notes in the earth's colorful dream, there sounds a faint, long drawn note for the one that listens in secret. He was talking about this melody. Because every time this melody comes really silent. It brings a bit of calm. Here it comes a bit agitated. So when we're going to come a bit later again to the Im Legendenton, we're going to find some referencing here. So I can talk about anything here. It is just an incredible piece of music. So maybe let's discuss a bit of. Let me take you to Im Legendenton. So. So he's setting the curtains for what is coming. Im Legendenton. Where do we know this thing? Let me remind you. Listen. So again. Same. This is incredible how he thinks in big pictures. So only maybe Beethoven before him could have such an incredible scope of thinking. So I could go on and on about this piece, but I want to show you actually why I consider I agree a bit with Andras Schiff about the silent tone he was talking about for the one that listens in secret. Remember the thing I was talking about in the introduction. So let's go maybe a bit. This passage really makes me almost cry. It is just incredible. Because to imagine from this fortissimo and then it's like having a soprano come in the middle of a Tempest orchestra thing, and then we have an incredible soprano, coloratura soprano. Okay, so without further ado, he plays lots of things, and he gets mad, and Florestan appears, and this is one example of his alter ego, Eusebius, talking. But let us also remember a bit about this melody. Clara, again. And not only Clara, also reminds me of the melody I was talking about in the beginning as the secret melody. So, and it's brought in so. Now put it in major. Right? And then transpose it to D flat major, and slowly, a bit slower. And I cannot imagine how Schumann creates such a thing. He's so underrated by the Randy's audience, though. So yada yada yada. We come back to con passione. So what happens is the same thing that has happened before, but the interesting thing now is that we get to the end of it then. So Thank you very, very much. See you next time.